Hello, everyone, and thank you for staying with us. You are watching Open, and I'm Bharati Kamraj. It's Wednesday, August 26, 2009, and this is the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. Our contacts are on the screen, so feel free to join in at any time. Are you a business owner? How about someone who is dreaming of taking your business to another level? Well, if you don't know how to deal with people from overseas, then you will be left behind. Here to share some helpful information and to tell us about his investment services is Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Holt Brothers Online Investment Services, Gregory Holt. Gregory, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Brodie.
We're hearing all this thing about international business, going overseas, dealing with people. What made you decide to expand Holt Brothers overseas?
Well, Holt Brothers wanted to maintain its leadership position in day trading, and it found that this was the best time because cheap bandwidth and reliable bandwidth has never been better, and this is much more possible than it was 10 years ago. And that's not to say this isn't without peril or challenges.
So talk to me about the company, you know, what you're all about, what services do you offer to people?
Sure. Holt Brothers writes trading software, and it provides that software to traders, and we provide capital to traders all around the world. So
how is it dealing with people overseas? What are the things that you need to learn? When you get these clients, do they come to you? Do you reach out to them for your services?
It works both ways. We recruit them, they find us, and you have to understand that overseas there are cultural differences, language differences, of course, time zone differences, and attitude differences.
What made you get into this? Is it's you and your brother, or?
That's right. It's my brother and me, and we started about 15 years ago this year actually, and we just graduated college and decided to give this a go.
And how's business so far?
It's actually great. You know, we started off slow in '08, but our growth overseas really made us not feel the recession.
You know, what do you tell your clients when you get them? Is it a sit-down process? And what are some of the tips that you share with? Do you cater for each one of the business that they're doing? So how do you decide what tips you share and how you share it with them?
Well, a lot of the actual talking to clients is done by Chinese-speaking people or people who speak the local language. And I have to admit I'm not culturally bilingual and I'm not linguistically bilingual, so that's a disadvantage when doing business overseas. A lot of people in the Bronx are from other cultures, and it's a huge advantage. But to answer your question, we take each case differently. It's entirely different if we're dealing with a staff employee. Then we're weeding a group of people down to find one. If we're dealing with potential business opportunities, it's best to fly in to meet them with a translator and present our history and why we would be a good relationship for that person.
Give me one of your cases that you've done where you've actually shared tips. You know, who was the business, or what kind of language did they speak, and what are the tips that you offered that they needed help in?
Well, our international friends often just want good technology. They want good management. They want to be able to trust us. They want to know that check is coming, the wire transfer is coming.
Of course.
And the little things help. That we've been in business for 15 years, and they like to go to our website and watch clips of videos. And they think, well, we're not running away with their money.
So what are some tips? If I came to you, I needed help, you know, is it just for overseas, or do you also do advice and services locally?
About 2/3 of our 2,000 employees and traders are overseas.
Wow.
We have both traders and software developers in the United States and abroad, and the best traders are still here in the U.S. And with outsourcing, you find that there is a balance between people you put overseas and people you keep here. And the things they do overseas and here are different, and we match the expertise and culture to find the right balance.
As chairman, you know, for this company, with the downturn we saw with the economy, has that affected your services in any way?
You know, I feel lucky that we're diversified internationally, so that a shock to the world like what happened in 2008 was kind of balanced. You know, in India, where we have a lot of staff, they're still going strong. Nobody's in a rush to cut their cheap labor in India. And China's kind of rebounded much more quickly than the rest of the world. So I feel that we're nicely diversified with a worldwide presence.
So do you ever take trips overseas just to see the way things are?
I do. I take about 3 trips per year to each of the major countries we're in.
Wow.
And love making new friends and understanding cultures, and work long 18-hour days and just meet person after person, sleep on planes. It's an adventure that I signed up for. I wouldn't trade for anything, and I'm always home by Friday night.
So if you had a new company, people who are looking at this program right now, how would you, or what would you say to them so that they can check your service out? You know, what makes you unique in that way?
If I was talking to someone else who was an entrepreneur who wanted to start a company and go overseas, oh, well, I would tell them, look, you've got to identify your core strengths. If you speak multiple languages, you should probably outsource in a country that speaks your language. You'll have a huge advantage. Do due diligence, fly into different countries and meet with 2 or 3 pairs or sets of lawyers, meet with a big consulting firm, go look at real estate with a real estate broker, and if you're far along, interview some employees. You'll get a much better idea of what you're up against, and at the very least, it'll be a fun 2 or 3 day little vacation for you.
With your business being online, do you have any competition, or do you feel that social networks are taking over, you know, a lot of businesses? People are not just doing it either at a location or online. They're also making sure that they're well-rounded with all of the different social networks that are out there.
That's a good question. We are often compared to big financial giants and wonder how we compete with them, but we really have a niche industry. The guys who trade our money in India can't call a bulge bracket firm like Goldman Sachs and say they want to move their business there. It's just, the way we do it is too esoteric. Our software is too uniquely tailored to them, and so we're just a niche. We're a niche.
You know, a high part of the organization is based on technology.
Right.
What sort of technology do you go to in order to advance your business being online?
Right. Most of our programmers are C, C++, etc. programmers, and most are overseas, and a lot of the core ones and the managers are in America. And we do avail ourselves of high bandwidth, high reliability internet, and those are the most important technologies. There are dozens of open source programs we use, and you know, nobody can avoid life without Microsoft. So we use Microsoft a lot. That's
true. There's always the joke with Mac and PC around here. Give me some tips for business owners, you know, on outsourcing others, and
Sure.
you know, share some of that with us.
Sure. The first thing to know is that there are a lot of inefficiencies that are going to make that that cheap labor not so cheap.
Okay.
You're going to again find with time zone differences, people don't want to work at night. Language differences, a 5-minute conversation, even if they speak English, could take half an hour because of their different dialect and different slang and jargon. There are cultural differences. They're not going to have the same buy-in to your organization as if they sat in the office next to you and were part of the epicenter and the feeling of what's going on. They're far removed, and there are legal challenges. Like in a lot of countries, intellectual property isn't defended and protected as well as it is in the U.S. So we have to worry about our software getting ripped off, and the weak means we have to protect that. So there are a lot of challenges that make that cheap number not really that cheap.
Do you think, you know, you mentioned about your software is being ripped off, but do you think that it's good that they should always ground someone there depending on the country that you're doing things in?
Absolutely. You know, the first time we went overseas, we built an office in 2000, and we didn't have a manager we knew there. We just tried to hire people on the fly and get a relationship over the phone, and that was a disaster. We closed it in 6 months. And,
wow.
Right. So this time around, we have a guy who worked with us for 10 years running the show there, and it's entirely different. So that's another important thing. If you can do it, put your guy overseas.
Very nice.
Gal.
So if there's anyone out there that wants to get information on your company, find out more, or even, hey, give you a call to see how you can help them,
Sure.
who do they contact?
Hold.com, HOLD.com is our web address.
Okay.
And they can email me at ghold@hold.com.
There you go, personal email. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Barati.
Don't you touch that dial. When we return, it's all about a Rockette and a new way of staying fit. We'll tell you much more in just a bit.